Every human being you meet is a fortress. When you look at them, your boss, your rival, your partner, you see the walls. You see the high towers of their intellect. You see the heavy gates of their social persona. They project strength. They project competence. They want you to believe that they are solid, impenetrable, and rational. This is an illusion. It is a lie they tell the world, and often a lie they tell themselves. There is no such thing as an impregnable fortress. Architects know that every building has a structural flaw, a stress point where the foundation is weak. In the human psyche, we call this the thumbscrew. It is a term from medieval torture, but we are not speaking of physical pain. We are speaking of psychological leverage. It is the one thing that, when pressed, bypasses a man's logic and triggers his deepest, most primitive instincts. It is the gap in his armor, the crack in his mask. Most people are blind to these cracks. They get distracted by the performance. But you are an apex predator. You are a student of the dark arts of psychology. Today, we are going to teach you how to ignore the walls and find the secret door. Once you find it, you do not just defeat your opponent, you own them. To understand the thumbscrew, you must understand the concept of the shadow. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, taught us that every human personality has a dark side. It consists of the desires, fears, and insecurities that a person tries to hide from society. Civilization requires us to be polite, strong, and moral. But the shadow is primal. It is needy. It is terrified. The thumbscrew is the external handle of that internal shadow. It is a specific weakness. For some men, it is a secret lust for validation. For others, it is a paralyzing fear of chaos. For some, it is a hidden greed that overrides their ethics. Why is this important? Because you cannot reason with a man's ego. You cannot fight his logic. But if you find his thumbscrew, you don't have to fight him at all. You simply turn the screw, and he will move in the direction you want. He won't even know why he is doing it. He will think it is his idea, but in reality, he is dancing to your tune because you have located the source of his pain and his pleasure. Finding the screw is not an act of aggression. It is an act of supreme observation. It requires you to stop listening to what people say and start watching how they say it. The first and most common place to find a thumbscrew is in the insecurity gap. Here is the rule of human nature. The louder the attribute, the deeper the lack. If you meet a man who is constantly talking about how honest he is, claiming he is a man of his word, be very careful. A truly honest man does not need to advertise it. The man who broadcasts his integrity is usually hiding a history of deceit. He is trying to convince himself as much as he is trying to convince you. If you meet a man who is obsessed with appearing tough, masculine, and dominant, you have found his thumbscrew. His aggression is a shell. Inside, he is a frightened little boy terrified of being seen as weak. This is the thumbscrew of validation. How do you use this? You do not attack his toughness. That will make him defensive. Instead, you feed the insecurity. You validate the fake persona. If he wants to feel like a big shot, treat him like a king, compliment his strength, bow to his power. By doing this, you become the source of the drug he is addicted to. He relies on you to feel good about himself. Once he is dependent on your validation to maintain his mask, you have him. You can give it and you can take it away. That is the leverage. The second type of thumbscrew is found in the lack of stoicism. Look for the emotion that the person cannot control. We all have one emotion that overrides our system. For some, it is anger. For others, it is pleasure, hedonism. For others, it is suspicion. Take the angry man. He feels powerful when he yells. He thinks he is intimidating you. In reality, he is handing you the remote control to his brain. If you know that a man has a short fuse, you can detonate him whenever it suits your strategy. If you need him to look foolish in a meeting, you simply prick his pride with a subtle comment and watch him explode. He destroys his own reputation while you sit calmly, looking like the rational adult. On the other hand, consider the hedonist, the man who cannot say no to pleasure. Maybe it's women, maybe it's gambling, maybe it's flattery. This is the easiest thumbscrew to turn. You simply become the facilitator. You don't judge him, you enable him. You become the gateway to his vice. When you control the access to a man's uncontrollable desire, you control the man. He will protect you, pay you, and advance you, simply to keep the channel open. He is a slave to his gut, and you are the master of the feast. This is the deepest, darkest, and most powerful thumbscrew. It requires a level of profiling that the FBI uses. Every adult is walking around with a childhood deficit, something they didn't get enough of when they were young. Did they have a cold, distant father? They are likely searching for an authority figure to approve of them. They want a mentor. They want a daddy. If you play the role of the stern but fair guide, they will follow you to the ends of the earth just to hear you say, "Good job." Did they have a mother who smothered them? They might be looking for independence, or conversely, someone to take care of all the messy details of life for them. How do you spot this? Look for the sycophant. Look for the person who clings to authority. Or look for the rebel who hates all authority, which is just a cry for attention. Once you identify the void, the missing parent, the missing love, the missing structure, you fill it. You mold your personality to become the thing they never had. This creates a bond that is stronger than friendship and stronger than business. It is a primal attachment. They will not be able to betray you, because betraying you would feel like killing a parent. This is the ultimate form of psychological capture. So, how do you find these screws? People don't just hand you a manual of their traumas. You must probe. You must use the test. You cannot rely on passive observation alone. You must actively stimulate the target to see how they react. Test 1. The feigned ignorance. Share a secret with them, a fake one. Tell them something slightly embarrassing about yourself. If they immediately tell you a secret of their own, they are seeking intimacy and validation, childhood need. If they stay silent and store the information, they are guarded and perhaps paranoid, control suspicion. Test 2. The subtle criticism. Make a joke about their appearance or their work. Just a small, playful jab. If they laugh it off genuinely, they are secure. If their eyes flash with cold anger, or if they sulk, you have found the insecurity gap. They have thin skin. That is a thumbscrew. Test 3. The denial. Say no to a small request. Watch how they handle rejection. The man who cannot handle a small no is a man who is terrified of losing control. That is his weakness. Pay attention to the micro-expressions, the tightening of the jaw, the fleeting look of sadness. The moment their mask slips is the moment you see the truth. Now, a final warning. When you find a man's thumbscrew, when you know he is insecure about his intelligence, or addicted to praise, or desperate for a father figure, you will feel a rush of power. You will want to use it immediately. Do not. Information is a diminishing asset. Once you use it, it is gone. If you expose a man's insecurity publicly, you make an enemy for life. He will hate you with the fury of a cornered animal. The true master collects thumbscrews like a miser collects gold. You store them in the vault of your mind. You treat people with charm and grace, knowing all the while that you have the key to their destruction or their devotion in your pocket. You wait for the critical moment, the negotiation, the crisis, the turning point, and then, with a gentle touch, you turn the screw. Project Apex Logic. Find the crack. Control the fortress.